it kind of reminds me when I like play live PLO, I would be like, these guys are like, they're some of the worst players. At the time, it's my mindset. I'm used to playing Crushers online. These guys literally don't know how to play. I'm going to crush it and run up these huge stacks. And then every time I'd go, I'd always seem to run up a huge stack because every time I went to the session, I'm like, all right, how much am I going to run it up to today? And then recently I'd be playing more Hold'em Cash and I'd be like, I'd go there, like, this guy plays every day. He's got to be better. I would reverse it around. Instead of saying, how much am I going to win? How do I crush for the most money I can today? I would go in there and say, I hope I make some good plays, or I hope I don't spew here. I hope I don't lose 2 buy-ins, versus how do I win 20 buy-ins? That's how do I not lose 2 buy-ins? And kind of one session, I just intentionally said, okay, well, I'm going to come out here today. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to get to 1,000 big blinds. And then that session was my best live session I played in a very long time. And I got almost up to 1,000 big blinds, and I got exactly where I wanted to get to at the start of the session, simply by going into the session with a different intention and a different energy for what I wanted to have happen that session. And
yeah, I mean, your mind is this really powerful problem solving like organ. And so when you set it a goal, your mind will do a good job at figuring out what does it take to achieve that. So you go into a session like, I just don't want to punt. That's what you'll do. Your brain is primed to notice opportunities to punt and to avoid them, even though they might be great opportunities to make money, right? So you're just like, your mind is just primed. It's just looking for that's the filter through which it's looking through every decision now. Just like, don't punt, don't make decisions, don't play tight, do this. When you tell your mind, like, no, we're here to annihilate my opposition. Like, I am here to find every spot they're making mistakes and destroy them. Your brain just clicks on and just primes for that. It's like, all right, that's what we're going to look for.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. And the other thing that's interesting when you talk about confidence, because if you think about like the evolutionary social value of confidence, right? Like the value of confidence that we have as a species is when someone is confident, we follow them. We're like, they know what they're doing. When we were living in a much more dangerous world, people who knew what they were doing was really important, that we followed the people who knew the fuck they were doing, because we could die. And so like, it is so socially ingrained in us that like we subordinate ourselves to the people who are confident, who are the most confident, who feel like they know the most. And so like when you come into a game with confidence and you give out, like you said, like the aura that you're giving out, but it's the social instincts of every person is, I should be doing whatever this guy wants me to do. And like that's it's just such in an environment of competition, it strips people are no longer in the decision-making headspace of what do I want to do? They're not thinking what's the decision I want to make? More importantly, it takes so much more energy and effort and willpower to even discover the decision they want to make, because every instinct in them is like, no, we should be following that guy. Like we shouldn't be making our own decisions. We should be listening to what that guy tells us to do.
Interesting.
And yeah,
it's a sick way to think about it. That's a really interesting way to put it. If against the best players, I'm sure they still fall into that trap sometimes. Obviously, I think they're better at protecting their mental game, whereas a lot of weaker players fall into that very easily, where they let you dictate everything. They're basically self-fulfilling prophecy that they're going to lose all their money during that session. They're going to get stacked. They're going to bust. They're going to, you see it on their body language. You see it in their words. You see it in their face. You see it in the way they carry their chips. And then if you can put that presence at the table against certain people, I mean, this is like a recipe for printing versus a lot of players. And then, you have your best players who are all trying to do that. Triton guys are trying to all out-aura each other. It's kind of like, so Patrick Antonius talks about. He talked about that with me before about energy, and he thinks Bobby's room is all about energy and all about understanding energy and wielding energy. And this guy is one of the GOATs, and he's battling the high stakes for 25 years. So I'm going to listen to Patrick Antonius if he's got some outside the box ideas. And I come to realize, I think he's, that's a big part of the game that most coaches don't talk about, and they don't really. This is a concept that isn't commonly shared because it's really hard to quantify it, and a lot of people don't believe in spirituality, and a lot of people don't necessarily believe in certain mental game things. So I think that's the big edge right now in poker, is being able to be in control of your own thoughts, not build your belief system based off other people, and especially people that don't know what they're talking about, which is the deadliest thing in poker. Is if you're watching somebody and you're building your beliefs off how they believe in the game, and they don't know how to win at the game, and they might know how to play a hand well, but there's a difference between a winning poker player mindset and a consistent winning poker player mindset over a prolonged period of time versus a guy who can win one session but is overall not necessarily figured out how to be a for-profit player. So that's what's great about poker now in 2025. We get the boom time is that not everyone's watching Jared mental game videos. They're watching a guy go play 5 hands and lose with a weak top pair all 5. So it's kind of you're getting that into your conscious, and now you're going out there and you're emulating that. And I think that's why it's a great time to be a hold'em player. It's a great time to be a poker player in general. Is that you got so much wide variety of players getting into the game that don't know the first thing about anything. This just takes time. It takes knowing who to listen to, how to listen to them, how to study, how to get better, how to have that growth mindset. And that's why I think the best players are still able to stay ahead of the game because they built up this like flywheel of everything.
I think we have barely scratched the surface of like strong mental game in poker, to be honest. Thank you guys so much for watching. The full episode releases this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if you want to see more from Joey, be sure to check in then. See you guys soon.